Last week, I asked you guys what video you wanted to see next on my channel, and you guys had a unanimous vote for more about my inspirations and what led me to creating the Lost Land Sage. So, that is what I will be talking about in today's video. First, I want to apologize for the current state of my voice. I was in a wedding this past weekend, and a very, very dear friend of mine got married, and so of course I was yelling a lot, cheering, screaming them on, and as someone who does not talk a lot in the first place and loses her voice from long conversations, I am just now recovering with a lot of tea and honey, so please bear with me, and I'm sorry if it is not enjoyable to listen to, but I think the content behind this video will maybe make it worth it. I don't know, you can let me know at the end. But yes, today my goal is to take you behind the scenes a little bit more because I want you guys to know that the Lost Land Sage did not just manifest in my brain out of nowhere. It's actually been developing for years and was deeply inspired by two main things and media that I absolutely love. One being the show Gravity Falls, maybe you've heard of it, and a beautiful JRPG called Witchspring R. I do want to be clear that this is not a how I copied these big titles or intellectual properties. This video is more like how the magic of these medias helped me find and create my own. So, if this sounds interesting to you, then I hope you stick around and welcome to the video. By the way, my name is Tiara. I am the creator of the online graphic novel, The Lost Land Sage, which now you can read on Webtoon. It's also available on its host domain. I'll leave both of those links down below. But again, I urge you to sit and listen to this video before you go and read it because I think you'll find a lot of good info and tidbits in this video. Okay, enough chatting. Let's get into it. So, Gravity Falls. There are three big themes, ideas, if you will, that came from Gravity Falls that served as inspiration for creating the Lost Land Sage. The first bit is mystery and community. I remember when I was in my college dorm binge watching Gravity Falls when I should have been studying for my physics class. And I remember when something would be revealed within this plot, within the story, and I would go back and watch a YouTube video summarizing the episode or go back and watch previous episodes, and it was like, oh my gosh, all of the clues were there all along, everything in the background, all the little pictures, all the little images, and it was thrilling, it was exhilarating. I also really loved Sherlock Holmes growing up and still do. And so satisfy that kind of an itch where you're trying to figure it out along the way as you're going on and something clicks into place and now everything makes sense. There was also the joy of everything making sense, especially when you solve the mystery before it's revealed. Like that felt so good. I don't know if any of you are people who were in that community during that time, but it was a great time to be a fan of cartoons. But even being completely wrong was still really fun because it got everyone theorizing and speculating, and that's something that I really wanted to capture with the Lost Land Sage. It's a bit different because with Gravity Falls, it would come out in episodes, so you get a full idea of what was going on, whereas I only released 2 pages every other week, so it's a bit slower of a burn, but I promise you as things start getting revealed, I did my best at least to capture these elements within the story. And I will not tell a lie. The community aspect of Gravity Falls is also something I aspire to create, where there was just this big community of mystery solvers doing their best to figure out what's really going on. It made it more of an interactive mystery than just a show that you're watching. And sharing your theories with someone else who really likes that media was a really fun time. And again, it's the kind of vibe I'm trying to create with the Lost Land Sage. And all of you little sages who enjoy this media, over 100 of you now, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, those are the mystery and community aspects that I was inspired by within Gravity Falls. But like I said, there are two more. And so the next one is a more physical influence, and that is the art style. So it's taken me months to figure out the exact art style that I wanted to portray with the Lost Land Sage. Actually, it didn't take me months to figure it out. It took me months to figure out how to execute it, because I always knew the style that I wanted to have. I just wasn't skilled enough to make it come to light. But now I am, and now it is, and that style is the animation style of this era and eras before, where the backgrounds are more painterly, whereas any characters that are important or you should be focusing on, they're outlined in black. And within the latest pages of the graphic novel and the redrawn prologue pages that are now live, I think I have finally come to the style and the way that I want the Lost Land Sage to be perceived, especially with how I am now using stamps and other utensils, other things, tools, whatever you would call it, within Procreate to make this seamless and easier, which I can make another video talking about the different tools I use to make creating a graphic novel very easy, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about inspirations. And the next inspiration from Gravity Falls that I took into the Lost Land Sage is the one, the only, the best, biggest, and brightest, my favorite Bill CIPHER. Okay? I cannot explain how much I love and adore Bill CIPHER as an antagonist. He is my favorite ever. He might be my favorite character ever. And it's not that I love him. I would never shake his hand, but I just love what he is and who he is and how he's portrayed. Like, I love me some Bill CIPHER because he's not just a strong villain. He's a wimpy little triangle wearing a top hat, if we're being honest. But he is cosmically dangerous. And that feels all the more threatening than someone who can physically punch you out. Because you can't defeat him with brute force. You just can't. And focusing on a heroine and focusing on a heroine. I never know if it's heroine or heroine because heroin sounds like the drug. Focusing on a woman hero versus a male hero, it feels very appropriate to have an antagonist where you're not overcoming them with brute strength. You are more outsmarting the antagonist. And that really inspired my story's antagonist, Amelie. I don't want Wisteria, the main character, to get stronger. I mean, I want her to get stronger. I want her to grow as a character, but the goal isn't for her to master this one spell that will rule them all. It's more to have her learn how to use what she has to her advantage, to accept and love and cherish what she has, and to be clever with it, and to take risk, and sometimes lose. But maybe in the end, she can use those gifts that she is already born with to come out as the victor when it comes to Amelie and Wisteria facing off in the big culmination of everything that it comes to in the end. That is all about Gravity Falls, but I want to take a break to say if you are still here, thank you so much for taking the time to sit and enjoy this video with me. If you're interested, I just want to say really quick, I do have a Ko-Fi that is also linked in the description of this video. Within my Ko-Fi, I have tiers between $1 and $20 where you can get Discord access, early page access, access to monthly digital downloads, shoutouts in my YouTube videos, and few more things. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, I urge you to go and check out the Ko-Fi. But that's enough about that. Snuggle back up in your blanket, take a sip of your drinky drink, and let's keep going. The second intellectual property that heavily inspired the Lost Land Sage is Witch Spring R. Now, I know a lot of people haven't heard of this video game. I played a demo of it years ago on my gaming channel, back when I used to keep up with that, and I fell in love with it. I originally found the game because I was starting working on the Lost Land Sage, and I wanted to immerse myself in witches and fantasy and that kind of media to really get in the headspace of creating an entire world from scratch. That's how I found Witch Spring R, and since then the full game has released. I have the collector's edition, including the art book, super cool, and I have played the game twice over now, and I love it. It has made me cry multiple times. It is a heartfelt story. That is an aspect that really inspired me. It's the emotional storytelling, because the story starts off feeling almost childish, and my boyfriend actually said the same thing. Like, she's very childlike and cutesy, whimsical. But the more you play and the more I played, the more I realized how deep the story truly runs, character-wise. The characters are suffering a lot, they grow, they lose things. Every single character, even the ones that within the story you think don't really matter, are carrying in the weight of something throughout the story. And it's all intermingled and connected in some way, just like real life. And I was really impacted by that. I wanted to add that emotional weight, that character depth to every single character within the Lost Land Sage. So not just Wisteria, the main character, but everyone. I know I've said in a previous video that each character, Pip, Autumn, Rose, Amelie, each character could star in their own story adjacent to Wisteria's story, and it still be compelling and interesting, and you'd still root for them to win, because I really worked hard. I have pages and pages and pages of documents and studying and taking notes from someone I'm not sponsored by, but Skillshare, to figure out how to truly make these characters deep. Even the recently revealed mascot-esque character Little, who I've been keeping a secret, even that cute little cat dragon, even she has depth to her character. She's not just a cute mascot. So the emotional storytelling, the character depth, those are things that I was inspired from Witch Spring R and infused within the Lost Land Sage. The next point that I want to touch on, and there's one more after this, is how, while playing Witch Spring R, throughout the story, expectations were subverted. The classic storytelling arc where there is a hero and a villain, a good guy and a bad guy, goes like this. There's a good guy, there's a bad guy. Good guy thinks bad guy is bad. Good guy fights bad guy. Bad guy wins. Hero trains. Hero gets better. Hero fights bad guy again. bad guy loses. Hero is a hero. Cue credits. But with Witchspring R, it made me rethink that narrative without even being aware of it. So in this sense, the hero doesn't win in the traditional sense, and even the end of the game is left with you feeling like, without giving away too many spoilers if anyone's interested in playing, it's left feeling like the fate of the world is out of your hands. There's nothing you can really do. With Witchspring R, when the story fully ended, after the credits rolled, it left me not really knowing how to feel about it. A part of me was like, it was a good ending, and a part of me was like, it wasn't really an ending at all. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I believe every good story has to end. But whether it's happy or not is really up to the interpreter. The ending of The Lost Land Sage, which yes, I do know how it ends, I believe encapsulates that perfectly. The last and final major inspiration that came from both of these intellectual properties, but specifically from Witchspring R, is a fantasy that feels very magical. I think where a lot of magic-based fantasy worlds might fall short, and I don't say this to be offensive, this is my personal taste, I'm a very opinionated person, but I think where a lot of them fall short is they don't create new worlds. Even in worlds where it is a new world and it's a character that you never heard before and their curse words are based on the universe that they're in, the magic still follows the rules. And by the rules, I mean the rules that this world is confined to, our world, the current Earth. I don't know, the current updated patch of Earth, the rules that this world follows. All of the magic makes sense. It has scientific backing, it has a reason why and a reason how, and it kind of leaves it less feeling like magic, if that makes sense. I'm someone who loves the fantastical and the whimsical and the sparkly and the magical, and I think a lot of worlds that have a magic system focus so much on the system that they forget the magic. And so I really enjoyed how within Witchspring R it created this world where really it felt like anything could happen. And spells don't have to follow real world, this world's logic. The rules are more about emotion and intent than the physics or the system. And I enjoyed how things weren't explained why this certain sigil creates this certain fire thing and has this alchemical response. It was just something that along the way you just knew it worked and it created magic. And that's the kind of feel that I think magic should have in these fantasy worlds. The original inspiration for a lot of these medias, Lord of the Rings, which of course also inspired me, I think did that perfectly. And that's why it inspires so many intellectual properties after its conception. And so I intended to make a world for the Lost Land Sage that does feel magical and not mechanical. So there is a quote unquote magic system. I have a little chart so I can remember how magic is used based on fear or desire or people who don't have magic at all. But it's not so systemized and intellectualized that it loses the magic. Gravity Falls gave me the mystery and the villainy, and Witchspring R gave me the soul and the world-building aspects. So with both of these major inspirations, they really helped me find the voice of the Lost Land Sage and create the story that you could read today. Of course, like I've implied throughout this video, there are many, many, many other inspirations. Lord of the Rings, the classic inspiration, Over the Garden Wall, Steven Universe, and a lot more that helped to add more weirdness, more softness, more whimsy, all of those things. So every bit of media that I've loved has metaphorically added a brushstroke. Don't come for my corniness. But the big picture of what came out is uniquely mine, and I think it's really cool. I might be biased, but I really love this story, so I'm really glad that you guys are interested in it as well. If you've read The Lost Land Sage so far or followed any of the characters' arcs, let me know. There's a new character being introduced in June. Her name starts with an A and ends with an Autumn. So if you're excited to get to know Autumn, be looking forward to when she is introduced in June. But anyway, did you gather or feel any of these influences within The Lost Land Sage? Or maybe you felt something totally different? Or maybe now that I've told you what the influences are, going back and reading might help you see it more? I don't know. Let me know. But thank you for watching. And if you're new here, welcome in, sweet sage. Check out The Lost Land Sage at projectsage.thecomicseries.com to catch up to all pages released up until this point. I release 2 pages every other Sunday, except now The Lost Land Sage is also on Webtoons. I know that the host site that I have the graphic novel on right now is kind of difficult to navigate, and so I am uploading to Webtoons every week. 2 new pages until I have caught up to where the graphic novel is on the host site. So if that's interesting to you, go ahead and check it out in the description. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Please like the video and comment. Just let the YouTube robots know that you like this video so other people that are as cool as you can also see the video. Subscribe and you'll see me again in 2 weeks when I upload the next video. And I hope you have a very, very beautiful day. Stay curious and suffer the consequences. I'll see you next time. Bye!